I thought I'd get back to you guys with just my reactions to what's going on. You see behind me, obviously not the typical backdrop, and it's just my small gesture of solidarity. Really the least I can do at this point. I wake up on what it was Saturday morning, and I saw some kind of alerts going off on my phone. Israel was always something that's close to my heart, but in college became pretty close. I'll go back to that point. In the beginning of college, I was really that kind of guy who just condensed their classes into a couple of days a week, went for 2 pretty long days into classes and out of classes, minimized break times, just so I can work the other 3 remaining work days. I didn't have time for extracurriculars. I didn't have any interest in it. Just wanted to get my degree and finish. One day I'm leaving school and I see a tuition rally, or an anti-tuition rally, where there are chances of Zionists out of CUNY. It's because of this Zionist administration that tuition is going up, because they host birthright events that it's affecting our tuition somehow. I'll cut to the tape. It's on my channel actually as one of my older videos, but I'll put it in here. Roll it.
First time seeing them in the same
We got people with an Israeli flag in the back. What does that say to me as a Palestinian? That Zionism is legitimate?
Fuck Zionism! Fuck Zionism!
That the genocide against my people is legitimate? This is the shit we're fighting against!
Zionism out of CUNY! Zionist 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 out of CUNY!
I'm by the team. I'm by the team.
Zionist out of CUNY!
By the team.
Zionist out of CUNY! Zionist out of CUNY! Zionist out of CUNY!
We're fighting against because we are running Zionism in our administration. When they invite the brother of Benjamin Netanyahu to
Find this fucking video. Where did you say you left it?
when they put birthright people sent to war. When they invested companies like deforestation, built the apartheid wall in Palestine. Our administration is invested in Zionism, and this is the shit that we're fighting against.
Intifada! 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 Let us try Intifada revolution! There is only one solution! Intifada revolution! There is only one solution! Intifada revolution! There is only one solution! Intifada revolution!
Our next speaker is Melly from Queens College.
Education is a right!
Let's also work to divest CUNY from Israeli occupation. Let's work to divest CUNY from any oppression that they give us. Okay? Thank you all for listening. Apparently, we got a problem with racism in the crowd tonight, and we got 2 pigs over there protecting someone who's openly watching Nazi videos. He's showing Nazi videos on his laptop.
FTP! Fuck the police! FTP! Fuck the police! FTP! Fuck the police! FTP! Fuck the police!
FTP!
Fuck the police!
He's over there screaming like an idiot by himself, watching anti-immigration videos, watching Nazi shit. What's happening?
saw this going on, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But I was ill-equipped. I didn't have the knowledge of what a Palestinian was. I remember pretty vividly the 2006 war. I just remember seeing Palestinians in some way reflected on the TV on my parents' TV. I didn't really know what a Palestinian was. I then partook in one of the most remarkable classes I've ever taken. That was the Model UN class at Hunter College, led by Pamela Falk, a CBS correspondent, at least at the time. I'm not sure what her current capacity is. And in my class was a Palestinian. I've never heard of somebody coming in such close touch with a Palestinian. I grew up in an insular community, a community where there were a bunch of people from my background, mainly first to second generation immigrants, and from the Jewish community in Arab lands. I didn't know that there was hostility towards my kind of people. I was never exposed to it. Maybe I heard of it, but I've never experienced it. On the first day of that class, we went around the classroom, and it was an international kind of class. Everybody say their name, major, and languages they speak. Pretty thematic, makes sense. Hi, my name is Charles Shikalo. I speak English, Hebrew, a little bit of Arabic. Professor looks at me like, huh? And I said, yeah, I'm first generation. My parents are Syrian. We go around the table. The person says, hi, this is my name. I was born to Palestinian refugees in Jordan. I speak English and Arabic. I went up to her after class and I said, hey, what do you think about this whole Israel-Palestine thing? You're Palestinian, right? The response I got was, yeah, I don't see why we can't just live in peace. Oh, great. Okay, fantastic. Lo and behold, that's the leader of the rally. I went home that night knowing that what I saw was not normal. I went home that night saying, I'm not going to let this happen under my watch. I'm in a position to do something, and I'm going to do it. I researched the hell out of the Israel-Palestine conflict, the different wars, the founding of the state. Hell, the books you see behind me, or usually see behind me. I went through as much content as I could. 5 o'clock in the morning, I sent an email to the chancellor of CUNY, dean of students, the president of my school. I demanded action be taken. My tax dollars was going to this organization where they call Students for Justice in Palestine. My tuition dollars were going there. I had no interest in funding people who called for my expulsion from CUNY and for me to roll in the streets, as Chancellor Milliken's investigation later found they chanted. I met with the president. I met with the chancellor. No condemnation was issued. There was a condemnation that night against anti-Semitic rhetoric, but nothing against calling for my lack of education just because they disagreed with my viewpoints. No actionable steps were taken on campus to actually protect other Jews and Zionists on campus. At the time, I was in an Arabic class. The only Jew in the Arabic classes, to my knowledge. I was pretty close with a lot of my classmates. In general, in following with my tradition and upbringing, I don't wear a head covering in public, unlike some other observant Jews. I wore one to school the next day. I wore an Israeli one to school the next day. The person next to me wearing a chain with the entire state of Israel and Palestine in one coat of a Palestinian flag said all they needed to say without opening their mouth. I headed a major effort by our Hillel, which was beyond helpful, beyond there for me, beyond there for the Jewish population on campus. We secured funding with the Maccabee Task Force. We planned an interfaith trip to Israel. Due to personal circumstances, I couldn't go, but I can definitely vouch that I planned for it. I know it was true, and I know it was diverse to expose as many people who have not been to Israel, showing them what it's all about. We led interfaith activities on campus. We led interpolitical activities on campus and interethnic activities on campus. I remember taking a picture on Turban Day, mimicking Maimonides versus the other Muslim turban wearers. I personally partook in something that was a transformative thing for me, what was known as the David Project. It was a initiative to build bridges between different communities and educate them, or really expose them as to what Israel is about. I built bridges across campus, and I had the privilege of attending what they called Israel Uncovered, which was a trip that spoke volumes to me, and I'm privileged to have attended. As a Jew, I visited Israel numerous times. I visited Jerusalem numerous times. I went on a variety of bar mitzvah trips with the same activities, the same touring, and the same social scenes. I've never been to the Palestinian territories. I've never gone equipped with the Arabic knowledge that I've obtained in college, both in and out of the classroom. I've never went thinking what was left out of my upbringing in my education, in my exposure. I've never went with a Palestinian who grew up in the West Bank. We bonded over our Arab heritage. I learned things that can take semesters for some to learn, and some that are just impossible to know without being on the ground. Then comes graduation. I remember I went to graduation from work, but I forgot something really important. This. And I said to myself, we have to turn the car around. We turned the car around to pick this up because I wanted to take this picture. This picture was my victory. In the same place, people called for me to be kicked out of CUNY. For me to roll on the streets. Take that. I came from places, or my family came from a place where they weren't welcome. My people come from a history where all it is you're not welcome. I was able to take a stand. I had a voice and used it. A lot of my followers know that I thrive in the center. You have to entertain a variety of viewpoints. While in college, I attended events from all sides of the spectrum. Palestinian movies, to Israeli generals being featured on campus, to debates, to you name it. I'm proud to say that I've exposed people who generally are not exposed to Israel on the ground. I did that for 2 trips. That's 2 trips of college people who experienced Israel on the ground. It leads me to today. A couple of days ago, I woke up and saw what was going on. I couldn't believe my eyes. Israel, the bastion of intelligence collection, had a major intelligence failure. 260 people who went to dance and celebrate the end of the high holidays, their bodies had to be found. Some mutilated. Children had to be killed in front of their parents. Innocent civilians had to be raped. Women in their pajamas, barefoot, had to be dragged into a jeep into a hostile territory. Civilians being used as human shields against valid retaliation. Some people call them militants. Some people call them animals. Call them heartless people. I took a course in Tel Aviv University where a professor, whose name I'll omit, said, "You don't think we have enough Israeli tanks to back up against the border of Gaza and then put them in reverse? If you truly want to the river to the sea, we can make that happen." But we didn't. By we, I mean Israel. There was the unilateral withdrawal that Ariel Sharon orchestrated. There was the 2006 democratic election, which elected Hamas legitimately, and Alan Dershowitz, with the Carter Center, vouches for the election's fairness. And Israel's put up with them for that long. It's because of Israel I can walk around with my head held high saying, if anything goes wrong, I have somewhere to go. My head held high saying, if I need anything, Israel's got my back. The Palestinians are mostly a good people. I will get blowback for saying that, but they're mostly a good people. But imagine the hate they were instilled with. To take on disabled women, to be forced to take a picture with a rifle. Do you think they're being treated with love and care and being tended to? And this is what's called the Jewish exception. How come it took less than 24 hours for there to be a demonstration in my city in support of Hamas and the Palestinians? It was funny. On the David Project trip I told you about earlier, I asked the Palestinian next to me. We were going around Jerusalem and he asked, you know what's so interesting? I never knew this. You Jews have a holy town of Jerusalem and there's something called the Bible and there's the Kotel and so on and so forth. You have so much connection to this land and I never knew that. I went to school a few miles away. Why didn't they know that? On a broader question, why didn't I know enough about the Israel-Palestine conflict to understand what was going on in college? Here we are. In the midst of this countless crimes against humanity. If there were ever a right to self-defense, it's against this. Throughout the past few days, I monitored the squad's Twitter feed. To date, I haven't seen anything by AOC. Haven't seen anything by Rashida Tlaib. Haven't seen anything from Barack Obama. Speak out. Condemn the murder of 260 concert goers. Condemn the unprovoked violence against a peaceful people. You have a platform. You have a responsibility. It's been nothing but publicized. Publicize it. Condemn it. Use whatever you can to influence your base that this is wrong. Demonstrations promoting the Hamas violence as, quote, resistance is less than insulting to intelligence. That's the thinking of Neanderthals. That's the thinking of subhuman. Soulless pieces of flesh. I tell each and every one of you, wherever you fall on the political spectrum, you cannot be for kidnapping the elderly, kidnapping the disabled, harming innocent women and children who did nothing wrong. You want prisoners of war? You take prisoners of war. There are rules for engagement. There are also rules for being humane. And that they are not. To the supporters of self-defense, let's do what we can. I promised to speak out against this. My thoughts are not all gathered, but I had to address. My apologies for being too late on this. You do have to forgive me. It was the Jewish holidays where, of course, 50 years after militants and terrorists attack on the holiest day of the Jewish year, they had to celebrate that by attacking on one of the other holiest days of the Jewish year, which is supposed to be particularly joyous. Good job. You sealed your fate on a day that was supposed to be joyous. See what's coming for you. To my brothers and sisters in the nation state of the Jewish people, go get him. We got a punch in the gut. Punch them back twice, at least. To my detractors, to people who say we occupied the land and that was the provocation, the response is not to kill civilians at a concert. The response is not to kidnap elderly people with disabilities and put them on camera and make them smile at gunpoint. That's not resistance. That's cowardice. Filthy humans. If even human. It's traditional for an American address to end with God bless America, God protect our troops. I'm going to end this with saying Am Yisrael Hai. The Jewish nation is living. I'm also going to end this with saying Hashem Oz le'amo yiten. Hashem yavarech et amo b'shalom. God will give his nation strength. God will give his nation peace. In that order. Be blessed. Stay informed on all sides of the spectrum.